She kept it for 43 years. A piece of paper. Folded and refolded so many times the creases had worn through. Just an address. 7 words written in fading ink. But those 7 words were the only thing connecting her to the stranger who saved her life. This is Maria's story. A Syrian refugee, a desperate mother, and the moment that changed everything. September 2015. Aleppo, Syria. Maria al-Hassan was 34 years old, a school teacher, a mother of 2. But the school where she taught had been destroyed 3 months earlier. Her neighborhood had become a battlefield. Every night, the sound of explosions. Every morning, more families leaving. Her husband, Ahmed, had been killed 2 years earlier. A mortar shell. Wrong place, wrong time. Now it was just Maria, her 7-year-old son Omar, and her 5-year-old daughter Layla. "We have to leave," Maria's brother told her. "Tonight. There's a bus leaving for Turkey." "I don't have money for the bus," Maria said. "I'll pay for you. But you have to decide now. This might be our only chance." Maria looked at her children. Omar's face was thin from hunger. Layla had stopped laughing weeks ago. She made the decision in 5 seconds. "We'll go." They left that night. Everything they owned fit into 2 bags. The bus was crowded. 50 people in a vehicle meant for 30. Children crying. Adults silent. Everyone heading into the unknown. Maria held her children close. She didn't know if they'd make it to Turkey. She didn't know what would happen if they did. She just knew they couldn't stay. They reached the Turkish border at dawn. There were thousands of people. Families, children, elderly, all waiting to cross. The Turkish authorities had set up a processing center. Everyone had to register. Wait in line. Get documentation. Maria waited for 6 hours. Omar and Layla sat on the ground, too tired to complain. Finally, they were processed. They were given temporary refugee status. They could stay in Turkey. But where? How? They were directed to a refugee camp outside the city of Gaziantep. The camp was a sea of white tents, thousands of refugees living in temporary shelters. They were assigned a tent, 8 square meters, 3 people. There was food, water, medical care, the basics, but no future, no plan, just survival. Maria tried to stay strong for her children. She told them stories at night. She sang them songs Ahmed used to sing. But at night, when they were asleep, she cried. She thought about Ahmed, about their home, about the life they'd lost. And she wondered, what now? 3 weeks into their stay at the camp, Maria met Ingrid. Ingrid was a volunteer from Germany. She worked for a humanitarian organization helping refugees. She was 52 years old, a former teacher herself. She'd come to Turkey to help. Ingrid ran informal classes for refugee children, teaching them basic German and English. Maria heard about the classes and brought Omar and Layla. Ingrid noticed Maria immediately, not just because she brought her children, but because of the way she watched the lesson. Maria's eyes followed every word, every gesture. She was hungry to learn. After the class, Ingrid approached her. "You were a teacher, weren't you?" Ingrid asked in broken Arabic. Maria nodded, surprised. "How did you know?" "I can always tell," Ingrid smiled. "It's in the eyes." Over the next few days, Maria and Ingrid talked. Ingrid learned about Maria's life in Aleppo, about Ahmed, about the escape. Maria learned about Ingrid's work, about Germany, about the possibility of resettlement. "Some refugees can apply for resettlement in Europe," Ingrid explained. "It's a long process, very difficult, but it's possible." "I don't have anyone in Europe," Maria said. "No family, no connections." Ingrid was quiet for a moment. Then she did something unexpected. She pulled out a piece of paper and wrote something down. An address, in Hamburg, Germany. "This is my home address," Ingrid said. "If you ever make it to Germany, if you ever need help, come find me." Mariah stared at the paper. She couldn't speak. "I mean it," Ingrid continued. "I know we just met. I know this seems strange, but I believe you'll make it. And when you do, you'll need somewhere to start." Mariah took the paper with trembling hands. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." 2 days later, Ingrid's assignment in Turkey ended. She returned to Germany. They hugged goodbye, both of them crying. Maria folded the paper carefully and put it in her pocket. She didn't know if she'd ever use it, but she kept it safe. It took Maria 4 years, 4 years of applications, interviews, waiting, hoping. But in 2019, she received the letter. Her family had been approved for resettlement in Germany. She cried when she read it. Omar and Layla, now 11 and 9, didn't understand why she was crying and smiling at the same time. When they arrived in Hamburg, Maria had nothing. No job, no apartment, no German language skills, but she had one thing: a piece of paper, an address. She found Ingrid's house on her second day in Germany. She knocked on the door, her heart pounding. Ingrid opened the door. For a moment, she didn't recognize Maria. Then Maria held up the piece of paper. The address, still folded, still kept safe for 4 years. Ingrid's eyes filled with tears. "You made it," she whispered. "We made it." Today, Maria lives in Hamburg. She works as a teacher's assistant, helping refugee children adjust to German schools. Omar is studying engineering. Layla wants to be a doctor. And every Sunday, they have dinner at Ingrid's house. Maria still has that piece of paper. Framed now, hanging in her living room. Just 7 words. An address. But those 7 words were a bridge between despair and hope. Between a stranger and a friend. Between a refugee and a home. Sometimes changing someone's life doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it just takes 7 words on a piece of paper. Just a moment. Just an address. But it was everything.